Hello and welcome to this special edition of BYOB. Bring your own book, boys, booze, whatever. Buddy. We have a buddy today.
Buddy.
We'll bring our own buddy today. I am Nola Nash. I usually get the point.
I'm Laura Kemp, and I got it right.
You got it right.
Hi, I'm Kerry Schafer.
We are so excited to have Kerry with us today. Kerry, you were one of our very first guests. You were our first guest on
Was
BYOB.
that really?
You were.
Fun.
You were our very first guest on BYOB, and we're always glad to have you back because we love hanging out with our friends. And that's, essentially why we started the show. Because we wanted to hang out with our author friends, and this worked.
That was smart.
Yeah, this is how Laura and I do things. Like, what fun thing do we want to do? How can we make that work for us? This is what we do.
Maybe we work backwards. I'm not
That's
sure.
What we do. We work backwards. Some people plan a show and then decide, we're going, we want to hang with friends. What do we do? And so our very first guest was Kerry Schafer. And today we've asked Kerry to join us. Kerry has relaunched a book trilogy. And we're going to talk about that because Laura and I have both done the same thing. Kerry's story is a little different than mine and Laura's, but because it's something that is very difficult to do and it's very hard to get that traction under a project that you're relaunching, we wanted to show Kerry all of our love and support and help get the word out about that. So Kerry, thank you so much for joining us, and tell the readers a little bit about yourself because you've got, two names you write under. So let them know who you are, and then we're going to talk about your new-ish, and
you rebranded. My rebranded series. Okay, well, hi. I am here as Kerry Schafer, which is the real me. People get confused by that, by the way. I have a split personality, so I have an alter ego named Carrie Ann King, who writes, I call her the kinder and gentler of the two of us. She writes women's fiction, uplifting sort of journey stories of people in dark places finding their better, happier lives. Kerry Schafer goes to the dark side a lot, but always takes her sense of humor with her. So I call the brand that I write as Kerry Schafer. I call myself the queen of the misfit book. I cannot stay on genre. I could, but
we love that.
I'm with you guys about the having fun thing, and I carry that into my writing as well. So really, what I keep telling my partner, my Viking, is, he'll say, could you write something just once that would, really sell big? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. And then I was like, but if I was going to be miserable writing, I would just go back to the day job because, who
wants to be miserable?
No, the Viking doesn't want you miserable either.
He doesn't either.
That makes a miserable Viking too.
Yeah.
That kind of misery is contagious. You don't want to spread that around.
No, we don't like that. We've been there. We've done that. So what I write as Kerry Schafer is a fantasy, paranormal mystery.
Nice stuff.
And some, mostly that pretty much covers it. Although I'm wanting to, and I'm playing with some ideas that are venturing into some very fun mystery series, maybe with a little bit of magic realism in them and a little coziness, but not too.
Love magic realism.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
It's going to be so much fun. Yeah. Laura, I guess yours, mine tends to be more on the paranormal fantasy side. That's more of the, the darker side.
There is a dark.
Mine have the darker side, and then mine have the dark. A little bit more of the horror than
there's border on the horror. Yeah,
they kind of do. A little more violence. But Laura, I think yours, if you were going to kind of categorize, if in this world, would be more magical realism, because yours is more modern day, a little time travel in yours too, but you've got yours is a little more
normal girl falls down rabbit hole. White rabbit.
Right, so what do you call that exactly? I mean, it's kind of, yours is kind of paranormal maybe, because you have these characters that are definitely not entirely of this world.
I don't know. It's that genre thing that I can't put my finger on. Book Riot had a great blurb, like when mystery sticks comedy and its hair like flowers and goes tumbling head first down a magical hole.
That works.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a great blurb.
That's not the title on a bookshelf though in Barnes and Noble. So it's real hard to figure out where to put the book.
Well, there's the blurb. Put it where it's supposed to go.
That's right.
That's
Where's your shelf that says magical holes? Because this is what we've got.
Oh, that's an erotica.
Oh, that's right. There is a shelf for that.
Not to say.
Rabbit holes.
Magical rabbit holes. That's right.
They do have a shelf for magical holes. That's right. See, this is why we have Kerry Schafer on the show, because it just straightens us out.
Yeah.
And of course, as usual, I'm the one that sends it sideways. Sorry about that. That was a typical Nola thing to say, wasn't it? Sorry.
What made you decide to relaunch your series at this point in time, Kerry? Like, did it just come to you?
A couple. Okay, so first off, there's a story behind the story.
Okay,
so,
good.
The first book in the Between trilogy, and I don't have copies of any of them to show you. So
it's on my phone because I am reading it right now.
I did make a little video, but I
didn't. Show it.
I don't remember how.
But I do have it on your computer.
I do have it. Yeah.
You should be able to share your screen. Somehow.
Yeah, that's a scary thing.
If you click present at the bottom, you might be able to.
Okay, so
what's going to pop up on my screen?
Who knows?
Live, and that's the thing.
I've already talked about magical holes. So whatever.
So I would click present, and then I would click video file. Look at that.
That should do
it. And it's just really short. It's just like it shows the before and then.
Yeah.
So it's there.
Add to stream. There we go.
Look. Ooh,
I love them.
Those are really neat covers. See, we promised dragons in my
yes.
post.
Dragons.
There they are.
I love dragons. Play it again, Kerry.
I can't. I don't. Oh yeah, I can. Here, hang on. No, you have to do it.
Here it is. So those.
I love the new covers.
So here's the thing with the rebrand. So when it was first published, and this is funny because we've been talking genre. I knew nothing. The Between was my very first book that was ever published. And I was just really, really, really grateful at the time that somebody wanted to publish my book, right? And knew nothing. It was Penguin at the time, who then became Penguin Random. I call them Random Penguin. because that just sounds like so much more fun. And there is actually a penguin in between. There's a little diversion, but this is because I can't do anything straight, like I said, with it. My main character's companion animal in the Between series is a penguin that comes out of a dream with her. So
that's right.
His name is Poe.
Poe?
Poe the penguin, because he reminds her, he just sits and stares like the raven.
Oh, like the raven. Okay.
Yeah, so she calls him Poe. Anyway, those books were published, and you can see by the covers, they're published as girl books, and they had this kind of like fun back cover copy, like Vivian Mailer can't sleep. Maybe it's this, new love interest, and maybe it's this. Oh, they're not like that. See
the bookstore guy.
And then they were marketed to the paranormal romance. Really was big. I came in just as that was sort of going out of fashion. So they marketed and branded the books as that. Well, they're not really that. They have romance in them, but the romance readers weren't happy. I remember one of the very, very first reviews, your reviews on your first book, Scar You for Life, I swear to God. And one of them said that their romance was ham-handed. And I remember that like 10 years later.
Oh, my.
What did they mean by ham-handed? Ham-handed just is, an expression that means really awkwardly and badly done. Anyway, whatever. And then,
sorry to revisit that.
Well,
guys,
if your hands were made out of hands, it's basically like your hands are just big and clunky. So you would do anything awkward. It would be.
I guess that's what that means. So anyways, guys didn't pick up the books for the most part because they looked like they were girl books, and women who were looking also for, you know, kind of more sword and sorcery stuff wasn't drawn to them either. So these are the reasons that I give myself for why the books didn't really like take off and do extremely well, because you know, it can't be because the books weren't good, right?
No, I mean, I'm reading between it. It's good. So
thank you.
I mean, that clearly is not the problem, but you know, and in reading it, looking at those covers, I don't think they were doing the book any service.
Right.
You do judge a book by its cover.
You do absolutely
do.
You
don't, but you do.
Absolutely.
You look at it and you go, oh, I don't think. Right. You make assumptions about what the type of book it is by the cover. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And those covers do not define that book at all.
No, they look kind of fun. Like you can't see on the video, but the first book she's standing there and she's holding this little ball in her hand and there's a dragon inside it, and it just looks kind of cute and fun, like maybe a tame dragon. Well, no, not so much. As a matter of fact, 10 years later, after doing a lot of writing as Kinder, Gentler, Carrie Ann King, when I reread these books so that I could edit them a little bit, I was like, oh my God, you were bloodthirsty. And then I'm reading and I kind of forgot. I'm like, no, don't kill her. Don't. It was kind of like that. So
was it fun to reread them? Was it fun to like discover the universe again or the world?
It wasn't. So it's been 10 years. And that was, you had asked the question, which I strayed far from. Why now?
We stray all over the place.
Well, you know, it's 10 years and I knew the 10-year anniversary was coming up. They were basically out of print. The physical copies were out of print. The e-copies weren't. I couldn't do anything with them because I couldn't adjust the price. I couldn't, you know, put them on sale. I couldn't do anything. So I asked my lovely agent, actually, she's so wonderful because there's nothing in this for her, actually helped me get my rights back. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it now for the 10-year anniversary and let's rebrand them as something that, you know, has covers that say scary dragons. So I did that. And then rereading them, though, here's the thing. I was both, it was good. It was actually better than I thought it was going to be. You know, you're a better writer with every book that you write. Right. And
we hope,
I don't like to go back and read my old work. And as a matter of fact, I usually don't. Once it's in print, I'm done. I don't need to go look at things that I now can't change.
Yeah,
so I was a little uneasy about reading these again and how much I was going to just feel really cringy. They're actually, the writing was better than I thought, but there were things definitely that, having learned better plotting skills and pacing and all that over the year, that there were things that I really, you know, would have done differently with world building and all that stuff. So it was kind of a mix of,
And you were able to do all that then, right? Did you go in and do some?
You know, I did not. I told myself when I did this, it's like, it's not going to cost me any time or any money. You know, I'll slap the covers on there and that's all it's going to cost me. You know, it'll just take a minute and I'll just pop them right back out there. I was like, I couldn't quite do that.
No.
I did not do a lot, honestly. I edited a few things. There were some character stuff, mostly in the second book. There was some character arcs that really did not work for me in the original version of Wake World. I don't know. Do you guys remember your second book is hard to write?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and especially when you have a contract, it's really hard to write because all of a sudden there's all this pressure. You've got, you know,
it's going to actually be published.
Right. Yeah. And then I have to be fair to myself, I wrote very much of that book while I was having a little thing with breast cancer and, you know, mastectomy and all that. It's like kind of, you know, when you go to the surgeon and you say, how soon will I be able to write? Because I have, you know, a deadline and it matters to me. And they look at you like, really, this is your question right now?
What's your question to know?
This is really my question.
That's what keeps you going, though. I mean, that's what helped. I mean, you're looking to the future at that point. You need that.
Absolutely. So just, you know, there were things. And the editing, my recent editors would never have let me get away with some of the stuff that slid in that book as far as character arcs and things. Like, you know, I'll tell you one thing I had to change. So my male lead in these books, his name is Z. And in the real world, Wake world, he's tries to be a mild-mannered sort of a guy. He's an artist, he owns a bookstore, but he has always had this sort of little violent side to him that he's tried to suppress, which is in his dreams, which is where the between and the dream world takes him. He is a warrior, and his job is to, well, basically hunt dragons, which is a problem because the main character who he falls in love with has a tendency to kind of turn into one. But there are some issues with that. So in the second book, I have this scene where the two of them are somewhere and a thing happens, and there's maybe a little, not really danger, but something a little sketchy going on. And he has a warrant. Never mind. There's a warrant for him. So anyway, he goes away because she tells him he needs to not be there. She has to call 911. And when she goes to find him in the original book, he's sleeping. He's just, sleeping, and he doesn't hear her come in. And, I'm like, as I'm reading this, I'm like, wait, what?
He'd be that chill.
WTF, really, dude? No, not happening. Not happening. First off, your woman's out there and you're not there guarding her, which is your job in the dream world. And then you're sleeping and you don't wake up. And I'm like, no, that was the scene that I did the most rewriting. I was like, no, this does not stand. I can't. No.
At that point.
So that had to change.
Well, things like that. But then to have the books that are, essentially what they were when they launched the first time too. I think there's some nostalgia with that too. And, if you have readers that enjoyed it the first time and they see the new covers and they get excited about the new covers, you certainly don't want to necessarily reconstruct the entire book because that's the book that they liked, So exactly. I like that you fixed the sleeping part because that was a random thing. But
well, why it happened originally. It's funny because another review I remember is I think Kerry Schafer just wrote some scenes because she wanted to write them. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. You'd be amazed how often that happens. But so
that was entire books.
I wanted to explore where he was dreaming and she snuck into his dream and discovered that he was dreaming about her. And, I wanted to write that. So I did, but it didn't make any sense.
I love this. I don't know that readers necessarily know that these kinds of things happen to us. I love that this is where our show goes. These like random side trips about things like this. I love that we get authors to just be real with us. And that is one of my favorite things about doing this show is because we have these conversations that, if you're on some stuffy formal interview, you would have told that story. And that's a great story.
Why did you two rebrand and relaunch your books?
Crap publisher.
Yeah.
We had the same one.
The same crap publisher.
Really, honestly, this is not the first rebrand relaunch I've done. I did this with my other series, which was the same, a small publisher with whom things did not go well. I'm not going to, same story, really.
Not calling them out, but it
was not a good thing. So I got the rights back. I relaunched the first two so that I could continue that series if I so wish. So I did that. New covers, everything for that one as well. So
and Laura and I did that. We both did it 2 books in.
Yeah.
And we didn't finish the series with that publisher. We both pulled the series before it was done.
And the timelines were really off. There was never really a definitive it's going to be released now. It was very vague. And I'm like, well, my readers would really like to know when this series, because you build a readership and you build a platform and you have a following, and then you can't tell them anything.
And we had both gotten to the point too where we had grown in reach, we had grown in knowledge, we had grown in so many areas where we knew what we were doing was all of the work. Essentially, they had formatted it and put it online, and even that wasn't great.
Right.
And I learned even how to format books and realized how far from great that was.
Right.
Like, no. So we're going to do this and we're going to do it right. And it was a bigger fight because we were in the midst of a series. They they certainly thought they were entitled to them, but it's a lot of breach of contract stuff, and you do have to get an attorney involved. I mean, we did, but it was worth fighting for us. But it is difficult because one of the things that happens that we tried everything we could think of, both of us, and Laura, I'm sorry, I'm speaking for you because we're going through the exact same things. And we did go through them together. It was funny because we were doing things at different stages, and it was like, okay, this is what I did. This is what I did.
Yeah,
we were very much, a team in this. And I think that helped too. It was to go through all of this with someone else so that we could kind of figure out different things to support each other. It is very scary.
Against a publishing house.
It is, but we also had to go up against Amazon to get them to remove the books that were tied to that publisher so that we could rebrand them. So even though our attorney had gotten the rights back, it was dependent on that publisher to remove them, which they did not do. And so we had to go to Amazon and actually prove to them that we had regained the rights and we needed those books removed. What happens though in that case, and we've tried everything, so comment people, trust us, we tried everything, you lose all of the reviews that were tied to those books. And
that's where I'm at right now with these.
It's tough because then people don't want to go back and rewrite it's hard enough to get people to write a review the first time, but to go back and do it a second time, no matter how much we beg and plead, those reviews just don't make it back up there. And I mean, we tried everything to try to salvage that. And
I personally reached out to people that I know I have relationships with, and I did screenshot all of the old ones, and I said, here it is. So all you have to do.
And you did that, which is great because this is where, and this is where things happened, where I learned that all of my reviews vanished. Laura knew that happened to me. So she was able to go in and screenshot. So she knew ahead of time that was going to the was. And so she
I knew that it might happen. See, I went into the Shadow Valley mysteries thinking that might happen, and it didn't. So the hard copies, the bad side was that the physical copies were still out there because although I got the rights back, there's nothing that says that they can't continue to sell the ones that they have already printed. So they had to take the ebooks down, but the physical books were still there. So my new books connected with the old books, which was good and bad. In the ebook was showing up first, so my cover was showing up, but then their paperback was showing up and you had to hunt for my new paperback, but the stars were there, right? So that was cool. This time around, weirdly, there was no connecting with the old books at all. The stars vanished, and I should say that there was some connecting with the old books. So the weirdest thing happened. There's 3 books in the series. The first book and the third book migrated together on Amazon like they're supposed to. So the ebook and the physical book are together. The second book, Wake World, for whatever reason, the physical copy joined up with the old physical copy that is still up there for sale by resellers. So it doesn't show up on my ebook page. But if you click on the old Wake World book, it will be there with stars, mind you. But
I see the stars though.
That's some rabbit.
We don't have
I
any of that.
don't know what to do about this. I'm like,
what
I
do you
could
do?
contact Amazon, but I don't think anything will happen. They've told me before when I was trying to do something about the first books, it's like, there are things we just can't do for you, and the algorithm drives it and whatever. So here I am, and it's what? Here's the thing. I just kind of did it for fun. It really was a passion project in a way. It's like I don't want these books to be out of print.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to have some fun trying to market them, which I can do if I'm in control of them. And,
it's nice to have that control. You guys know Allison Ragsdale. She had commented to me. I told her a little bit about what was going on, and she had the best thing that she said. She said, it's so great that your books have come back home to mom.
Aww.
And I thought that's how it feels. I feel like my babies have come back home to mom. And that's how I feel. And now I can, do with them what I want. I have the control. I can put the pretty covers on that I like.
Yeah.
I can control
and
the
like
marketing.
the new covers, Laura, are beautiful. I mean, I did I loved, the yellow leaf on Woody, but
yeah, that's Denise Burt. She designed my covers. She's wonderful.
She did a phenomenal job on the covers. And I mean, they're very classy. The formatting, everything on the inside, the interior is beautiful.
Nola did you do the second? Nola helped me format.
I did
one. I formatted my own. I
the third one.
I learned how to do that, and I could put in little dragon picture for the divider.
It's so fun.
Come back home to mom.
Come back home to mom. You make them look exactly like you want, and you get to do, like Kerry said, so many more fun things with them.
Yeah.
And for now, I mean, I've put new covers on and reformatted, and the Crescent City books are beautiful, and then what I wanted them to be. I mean, I had a good time with those, and they're more definitive of the book itself. I mean, each one of them is more illustrative of what you're going to find on the inside, and the inside is so much prettier. Just everything's better.
Nice margins and space between our formatting was so bad.
It was so bad. It was like hard to read, and
there's no
matter what we did.
There's no excuse for that, because there's not all that hard to do,
No,
honestly.
it's really not. And once you learn how to it's essentially having the right program. I mean, which is what it is. I don't know what they were using, but this was clearly not their area of expertise. We could go on and on about that particular place.
But, but there's no,
there's no
point. Bad just comes back to you. So it's always better to focus on what's good and beautiful.
And that's
right.
So that's exactly what we decided to do. We went through the fight. We did all of that. And honestly, very little was ever said about why we did what we did, or even the fact that we did what we did.
Right.
We certainly weren't going to do that on social media. We're not going to drag anyone through the mud. I mean, that's I don't believe in that at all. Like you said,
it'll come back.
Goes around, comes right. It will come back to you. So, and there was just no point. There was nothing to be accomplished in that.
Right. Exactly.
And so for us, it was more important to have our series be what we wanted our series to be. Right. The heart and soul that went into it should be what our readers are able to get from it.
Right.
And it's been fun to play with it, to relaunch it, to kind of have that experience all over again. I mean, yes, we lost an awful lot of reviews, and yes, we would love for people to go and put them back. But if you've read it, please go review our books.
Right.
Some stars would be great at this point. Because we lost
5 stars would be the best.
5 stars would be great.
Yeah, 5 stars are nice.
And the sad thing is that both of us had books that were over 4 stars in all of the reviews. We had over 100 reviews on our books, and so it was playing nicely with the Amazon algorithm. But we sacrificed that. But it was a sacrifice that even though that we lost that, it's a sacrifice I would make all over again.
Yeah, I don't regret it.
No, I don't not one bit. Not one bit.
So, right now, like I said, I was kind of half joking when we first started talking. I said that they're just sort of languishing out there, but they're not. my 3, they're not languishing. They're just, honestly, I'm really super chill about this. Like I called it a soft launch. I told my Viking, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, stop. When I feel like it, it's like I don't really have a set plan for these. My first step is to get them out there, make them all lined up, make sure everything's available, that kind of stuff. See if I can get a couple of reviews on them. And then for next month, I have, I took advantage of Amazon's free day thing and lined up a couple for book 1. So, I lined up book 1 for a free day and a couple promo newsletters, and see if we can get some people to read and get some reviews. Maybe they'll read the second 2 if they like it. And, then that'll get a little energy going. So we're going to start there.
That's the nice part about doing it on your terms. You're doing it on your terms, which
exactly
you can be as chill as you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be
right.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, we do tend to move on. And so these are the first books that you wrote. The Crescent City series is the first books that I wrote and published. Laura's are the first books she wrote and published. We're all working on other things. I mean, Laura's
we are
working on
so
Western.
Many things.
You've got all the Carrie and King things as well. We've got so much that we're working on. I've got the sequel to Traveler is coming out in November. So I was working on, all this stuff for that and getting that tightened up. And again, writing the second book of a series is always daunting. But now I've got to write the third book in the series because now I got a deadline for that too. So, I mean, there's a lot going on, but I'm actually writing the third book of the Crescent City series first. That was one of the things that I promised myself I would do. I would finish Crescent City Soul, which will be fun for me to be able to put that one out there so that we can actually celebrate the whole series. And that, I think, because right now I'm not doing a whole lot with Moon and Sin because I know Soul is coming, and that's where the big push will be, and that's where I'll put my energy. And I think that you really find the place that your energy, what you are putting out there and what you are getting from that is far more important. And it seems like you've got a really healthy approach to this, that this was fun. This is something you wanted to do. You've got them back. You've got covers on them that you love. You've got your babies back home with mama.
And they look beautiful.
They do. They look beautiful. And lots of dragons. And, I love dragons. You're the mother of dragons.
You are the mother of dragons.
You're the real mother of dragons is what it is. And, I love dragons. We promised dragons on this show. I've got a dragon tattoo on my ankle. I'm all about the dragons. Love me some dragons and magical creatures. And I have the dragons, and I don't know, Kerry, if I've ever told you this about the dragon tattoo that I have on my ankle and why I got it. No. I've named that dragon Icarus. Like, I don't know if you named any tattoos, but his name is Icarus. To remind me, don't go flying too close to the sun. Let's set some reasonable boundaries here. But the dragon was because as a mother, a teacher, and a writer, it is my job to light the fire within. Love it. And so that is my draw to dragons, is that internal flame that kind of keeps burning, and that you can light that in others as well. And so I love the dragons and just the magic that comes with them. So I'm excited to be its queen.
I am. I told you I would tell a little story about this.
Yes,
random penguin.
I want random penguin.
There he is.
So random penguin has been with me for a really long time because right before when Between was published was when Penguin became Penguin Random, and there is a penguin in the book, so I thought, how fun. The penguin in the book is my sort of counter to all of the darkness and blood and violence, because he's a penguin. He doesn't look like any sort of penguin is really supposed to look either. He's a little bigger, he's a little different colors. He guides Vivian as her spirit animal, kind of, which is kind of fun because I actually found, I searched online after I'd already written this book and discovered something that said basically if the penguin is your animal, he's the guide to moving between different realities, because so
and you didn't know that when you wrote it?
I didn't know. So
cool.
One of my favorite lines actually in the book is just because it's scary. There's scary stuff, but there's the character says she's going to die naked in the between. No, she's going to die in the between naked and carrying a penguin. There's
then it's a little levity to lighten the
you gotta have that.
So I had found this guy. Somebody gave him to me, actually, that I cared about very much about the time that I wrote the books. And so I used to take pictures with Random Penguin, just randomly, like everywhere. I would take a picture of anything. I'd make sure the penguin was in. And so he's still around.
Random Penguin needs to make a comeback.
He should. It really was
surfaced with the launch of these books. I think Random Penguin should come back.
Yeah.
Come out of retirement. Bring him out of retirement.
He'd like that. He had fun.
Just pinching away.
He even took a trip. One of my biggest fans for Between lives in the Netherlands, and I sent him to her. And she took a bunch of pictures for me.
You sent the real one to her?
I did, yeah. She sent it back. It was awesome. He went on a visit and had photo opportunities. And
that is so cool. And he came back.
Share those things. Those would be fun posts for your readers. And whether they're reading the Between series or not, Kerry, those are great things that I want to see them now.
Part of what I've run into over the last 5 years, I would say, I've been pretty exclusively writing and promoting Kerry Ann King. I did put out a paranormal mystery, but my readers as Kerry Ann King are not interested in this stuff, really, honestly.
No, but you do have some Kerry Schafer people.
There are a few.
There are Kerry Schafer people that would be interested in random penguin trip to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I think you should do that. I think you should post those out there. And who knows, maybe you can turn some of those Kerry and King people into Kerry Schafer people.
It's possible. You never know.
You never know. I've had a lot of people read my books that didn't think that they were going to like them because they thought they were going to be so dark and scary, and then realized that there's more to them than that.
Right.
And so it is.
I get the same thing.
Give them a fair shake. Give them a fair shake.
I think people like more than one genre. I believe in
that's true. I do.
I believe. Oh, me too. I'll read anything that has a good story.
Yeah.
I could care less what the genre is. I just want a good story.
The story is what's important when you get right down to it. Well, Kerry, we could talk to you all night long, and clearly we need to have you on again because we'll sit here and visit and hang out. But we are going to wrap things up today. Kerry, we wish you the best of success with the Between series. I'm reading Between, and I am loving it. Laura, what are you reading real quick before we go?
Oh, yes.
You were reading a Brene Brown, right? We love Brene Brown.
Daring Greatly. You have not read this book. It's all about vulnerability and being vulnerable in life and taking risks, being in the arena, not taking criticism to heart, which is kind of what we talked about, all based on that Teddy Roosevelt quote, the man in the arena. And boy, is it really changing my perspective on all aspects of my life. So grab a copy of Daring Greatly.
Brene Brown is amazing. I love her podcast. Her podcast is amazing too. Check out Brene Brown. Yeah.
I am reading a fun book called Herrick's End, and I can't unfortunately remember the name of the author, but it's Herrick's End, Herricks. It's a paranormal mystery where this guy discovers that there's a world beneath the world in which he's living, and he ventures into it to rescue a friend, a woman who he felt was being probably abused by her partner. And then he gets there and it's really freaky and dark and backwards. And anyway, so it's fun. I think you guys will
sounds like a book I would like.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's an Nola and Laura right there.
Herrick's End. So sorry, author, I can't remember your name, but
we can add that in the comments later. I'll look it up. Well, everybody, Kerry, tell the folks where they can find you on social media.
You can find me. I'm not on social media all that much, actually. The best thing if you want to hang out with me is to go to my website, and that is allthingskerry.com, allthingskerry.com. Sign up for my newsletter, and then you'll hear from me that way. I am on Facebook periodically. You can find me and like my profile. Sometimes I'm there as Kerry Ann King, and sometimes I'm there as Kerry Schafer Books.
And your newsletter is fantastic too, folks. I mean, go get on Kerry's newsletter. It's a lot of fun.
I'm envious of your newsletter.
I try to make it fun. I try to make it fun. There's a Tale of the Viking every time. People like my Tale of the Viking stories. I live with one, and he's funny.
Lady.
There's all that. I'm on Instagram too. Kerry Ann King, KERY_ANE_N King.
Love it. Well, Kerry, thank you so much for joining us today. We love hanging out with you every single time. Welcome back to the show. This will not be your last visit, I am quite sure. So guys, check out the Between series. Give it some love. When you've read them, go
and give it a
Dragon some reviews, please. Because we know how hard that is. While you're at it, go put some stars. All right. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a copywritten podcast of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network, and we will see you next time for BYOB.
Bye.